Hi, I'm Chanel White, a student here at Miami-Dade College, and today I'm sitting with some of the guests who will be participating in the Miami Book Fair this year. My first guest today has written over 3 books, and he's a native of New York. I'm sitting here with Oscar Fuentes, the Biscayne poet. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So you're promoting a new book today. Can you tell me a little bit about the book? What is the name of it?
Well, it's called Vagabond. Selected poems, short stories, and a play, a short play. The book was written at the Vagabond Hotel, and it is actually it's the product of the very first artist in residence program there at the hotel, and I ended up staying for a week. I wrote the rough draft for the book, and 3 months later the book was completed.
So you finished the entire book in 3 months?
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. So when did you first realize that you wanted to become a writer?
When I realized that writing is almost like painting. You get to paint reality, through words, and there's things that are easier for me to write and to say, and the people have a hard time really saying and expressing, and so there's that. There's that connection that I make with an audience, and I think it's important. I think writing is extremely important.
So when did you first start writing?
I started writing in middle school.
Really?
Journaling and just writing my thoughts down and writing poetry and inventing monologues.
Okay, so you started reciting poetry in middle school as well, or did that?
I started reciting poetry later on, like later in my teens.
Okay, so maybe like high school?
Yeah, high school.
So I understand that you were born in New York, but you were raised where?
I was raised in Miami.
You were raised in Miami.
Yeah, I was born in New York, and my parents are from Honduras, so I consider myself New Honduran.
So at what age did you transition to Miami?
I think when I was 8.
So you have this nickname. What is this nickname of yours?
Well, the Biscayne poet.
The Biscayne poet. So how did this name come about? How did you get this name?
Well, that name was born in 2003 when I was performing in New York, and I was actually stuck in my apartment because of a snowstorm in New Jersey. And I ended up I was bored, so I created an experimental video. And I was missing Miami, I was missing my Biscayne Bay area, so I titled the video, The Biscayne Poet in Exile. And ever since then, the Biscayne Poet
That's been your name.
Stuck with me.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. So now, I know you've written 3 books. With this particular book, can you tell us, what inspired you to write this book? I know you said it consists of, I have a copy here, I know you said it consists of several poems and things of that nature. What inspired you to write this?
Well, the book has a very romantic energy, so it was definitely inspired by love, and also the hotel.
Is love from family, love from
well, it's
combination?
I guess, yeah, it's a combination. There's romantic love, there's family love, there's love in general. There's love for the architecture of the hotel. I ended up staying there for a week, and in that week, I ended up really soaking in the mid-modern century architecture of the hotel, and I picked up a lot of energy from the guests, from the events that were happening in the hotel, and so the book has little scenes, little sketches that I just recorded with the poems, just different things I saw in the hotel and things I imagined in the hotel. So there's a few short stories that are very fantastical, and other poems that are extremely honest and real, and it's
Do you write full time? Is this what you do full time?
Well, I'm always writing. So definitely writing is a full-time thing. But I'm an artist with 2 artistic careers. Actually, I also work for the public library, and I manage the art collection there. So I'm an artist administrator at the service of an artistic community. And I'm also a writer and a performance artist. I have a Latin jazz trio, and we do a Latin jazz with my poetry.
So when we think of the Biscayne Poet, what was life like for you before that? What were you doing before you decided to write full time?
Before the Biscayne Poet, I was also writing, and I was just Oscar Fuentes, writing, theater, writing short plays, producing them, and performing with the band, basically.
So you've been doing this for a while.
For a while, yeah,
Wow.
for almost 20 years.
Now we're here at the college. Of course, we have a strong English department, strong journalism department. Is there any advice that you have for students who are trying to pursue a career in writing?
Well, I am one who was influenced by the English department here at the Miami-Dade College. Professor Michael Herrick.
Were you a student here?
I was a student here, and he was a mentor of mine as well, and he's been advising me ever since. And he wrote a review of the book in the back. And
I remember that guy.
And there's a lot to take in and to soak in, as a creative sponge, here at the English department with professors like Michael Herrick.
So it's something that you would highly recommend to go into a career like this?
Most definitely.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate you coming out, telling us more about your book. We'll be right back with more local authors. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We are still here at Miami-Dade College Wolfson campus, and my next guest today is not promoting her book, she's promoting the book of her late husband. I'm here with Isa Emmett. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're here with us. So, your story is different from everyone else's. Most people come and they promote their books, but you're here to promote your husband's book. Can you tell us the name of it?
The book is American Art Deco Furniture, and it started out as American Art Deco Furniture and Lighting, but it got too big. So last year we split it in two, and this one became American Art Deco Furniture. The American Art Deco Lighting book is in the works. It was 75% done, and I'm going to finish it for him sometime in the next year or two.
Wow. And your husband's name is Rick Emmett.
Rick Emmett.
And he's the one who started the book. Do you know what year did he start the book?
Well, he started the book 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
In 2010. And it took 5 years to do all the research and all the writing, the photography. We used a lot of photos that we've accumulated since 1979 when we started buying and selling Art Deco.
Now, was this the first book that he had written?
It's the first book on American Art Deco furniture. He did write another book, a children's book called The Adventures of Gummo the Rubber Duck, but it hasn't really been a great, and we haven't promoted it.
So it took him 5 years to research, and then it took him another 5 years to
Well, the research
start the
went on as he was writing it. I helped him with the research, it's a really good book.
When did you lose your husband?
He passed on April 7th this year.
Wow, so you just lost your husband.
Yeah, we had just gotten the book out, anyway, so we continue on I'm so happy that he was able to leave this legacy of his work. It was his life's work, Art Deco.
So can you tell us more about what the book consists of?
Well, it's 569 pages.
Wow.
It weighs 8.5 pounds.
A very nice design on the book as well.
Thank you, thank you. And it talks about the different American Art Deco designers. It talks a lot about how American Art Deco came to be in the United States.
Wow.
And a little story about how we got started in the business. And he actually started out with French Art Deco. And he had a customer came into our gallery one time, and he said, "I'm looking for American Art Deco," and he said, "Well, there is no such thing." And he lived to eat his words, as it were.
Wow.
And he fell in love with the simplicity of the lines, the great design, the quality, and the history behind American Art Deco.
So you guys have a gallery. Where is the gallery located in Miami?
The gallery is in Miami.
Where is the gallery located?
It's in the South Miami Art District now. It used to be in Coral Gables, but we had a fire in 2004 and burned down, so we relocated.
So you said about 75% of the
Lighting book
was complete. Okay, and did you finish this book?
No, this one was finished.
This one was
He got to
finished by
see
you.
it. He went to several book signings, and
Really?
as a matter of
Wow.
fact, it was right after we went. We had been in Philadelphia and New York doing book signings, and we got back to Miami, and he left us.
So how has this been for you emotionally to, lose your husband earlier this year and still, go ahead and promote the book, and how's that been for you?
Well, he really believed in this, and I did too. And what greater way to remember him than to make sure that everybody knows about the book and that everybody has knowledge of his research, of his life's work.
Is there anything specific, because I know you said that you're an author too, is there anything specific that you would like to say to any of the readers or is there something that you would want them to know?
Well, this was a labor of love. His passion was American Art Deco. He was also one of those people that as soon as he knew something, as soon as he learned something, he wanted to share it with you. He was a great teacher to a lot of people without really teaching in a school, but I wish I could share with you all the emails I got after he passed from people that heard about it that I didn't even know about, that said, "Oh my God, Rick taught me everything I knew about Art Deco, and he got me inspired in this." And there's one of our clients that knew Rick actually wrote a book about jazz, and he sent me an email, called me, and he said, "Oh my God, Rick inspired me with a poster I purchased about jazz in your gallery." And from that poster, it was a Covarrubias poster, from that poster I wanted to learn more about jazz, and then now he ended up writing a book about it. So, so he really inspired a lot of people. And we used to have, in our gallery, we used to have Saturday salons, where Saturday afternoon at noon we opened, there were people standing in line waiting to get in. And we had a room in the back that was filled with books about Art Deco and research books, and people would sit around this big conference table we had, and they would talk about Art Deco and go back and pull books and argue, and it was a really magical time. A lot of people used to come over. Every now and then the University of Miami would send some students over, and Rick would do a lecture, hands-on, show and tell about Art Deco and design, and that's what he did. He wanted to teach, and what better legacy than to leave a really great book about American Art Deco furniture.
So what do you guys have planned next? What do you have planned next for the future?
Well,
are you going to write books, or what do you have planned?
Well, I'm going to finish the second book.
Okay.
He was talking about a third book, Icons of American Design. And that would be all the cool things that have been designed in the United States that have great lines. Doing a compendium of it. I don't, it's not really even in the start. We have a few pieces that he would have wanted to put in there. But first I got to finish the lighting design. We've we're also starting a foundation, the Rick Emmett Foundation, and that's going to be for to help adults with autism find their passion.
Well, thank you
So-
so much. We really appreciate you. You guys, we just heard from Isa Emmett, the wife of the late Rick Emmett, the author of American Art Deco and Furniture. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more authors after this break.
Really good. Like that.
And welcome back. I'm here with my last guest for today, Deborah Mitchell, the Executive Director of ARI. How are you, Deborah?
Fine, thank you, Chanel. It's a wonderful joy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. So tell me more about yourself. Where are you from?
Well, I'm originally Canadian, born to Scottish parents, and moved to Florida in 1972. So I'm more or less a native by now.
Wow.
But I love the area, and that's why so many years ago I started to go out to the Everglades and do a lot of hiking and biking and kayaking. That's why I'm here today, really, is to talk about the Artist in Residence program in the Everglades.
So tell us more about this organization. Tell me more about ARI.
So ARI stands for the Artist in Residence in the Everglades, as I mentioned. It's been around since 2001 when it was founded by someone named Donna Markser. And essentially they wanted to make sure that artists, writers, and composers would always have a place to stay, live, create, work in the Everglades National Park. And as you know, 15 years later now, it's so important because of all of the changes that we have in our environment to make sure that scholars and creative thinkers are really interpreting what's going on out there. Each artist comes and stays for 1 month. They donate a piece of work, which is indicative of the kind of research or painting or composing that they did that month. And that's all stored in the archives at the Everglades National Park.
So how did you get involved in an organization like this?
Well, I'm an artist as well, and I did a residency in Big Cypress in 2007. Made a lot of contacts out there, and eventually I read a book named Gladesman, which was really pivotal in my life, kind of a transformative experience, because it entranced me. It made me wonder and want to know more about the Everglades and how it was and how it could be. So after I read it, I actually contacted the authors, 2 authors. One was a 93-year-old man who was an original Gladesman who hunted alligators and lived off the land. And the other was really the author, Dr. Laura Ogden, who's an anthropologist. We all became friends. I took portraits and did mixed media of Mr. Simmons, and eventually collaborated on another book named Swamp Life with Dr. Ogden. So that's kind of a neat story because it just goes to show you, for the book fair, you can read a book, get involved, go crazy, contact the authors, and you never know what could happen. What evolved personally for me is that I ended up doing so much work with the environmental arts in South Florida that they asked me to join the board of directors for ARI. And then after a couple of years, I jumped over to the ED position. So now it's great because I'm able to really help the artists that come and stay in the Everglades with the knowledge that I've accumulated all these years. So nice circle.
So there are 3 authors, from what I understand, there are 3 authors that will be participating in the book fair that are a part of the organization. Can you tell me who these people are?
Sure. So on Sunday, November 22nd, I believe, from 3:30 to 4:30, we're having an hour with ARI. And what's happening is I have Dr. Keith Waddington, who's a biologist and on our board of directors, sit in a small panel discussion, but it'll be fun. We'll have videos and slideshows behind us. It won't be dull, I promise you that. Dr. Waddington actually hikes and counsels the artists and authors when they come to Erie. So scientists are a very important part of our program. Next we have Elite Kidan, who's an architect, and she has written a book called Atlas, which is just out this month. Atlas has to do with the experiences that she had in her residency, and it's an art book. It's not a novel or historical based piece. So Elite's going to come and share part of that with us as well. And last but not least, we have Mr. Frankie Cruz, who is an amazing local artist. Frankie is a visual artist and took a photograph of kind of a performance he did in a cypress dome in the middle of the Everglades. And that piece will be enlarged to a 10 by 10 foot mini billboard in the patio area of the swamp. So we'll be able to talk to Frankie about this incredible image where he's dressed like an ancient heron moving through the water with the snakes and gators and things. So I think it'll be a very diverse panel. And yes, these three people, a biologist, an author, architect, and a visual artist really represent what the diversity of Erie is about, because we have all sorts of people helping us move forward. It is a nonprofit, so it takes a village literally to push this forward every year.
Now you guys have a really big project that's coming up on December 10th. Can you tell us more about this project?
Sure, I'd love to. So essentially, last year, the Knight Foundation funded something called Wild Billboards. It's a 2-year project for Erie, and that's where we have had a local panel, jury Erie artwork and words, score these submissions and select 4 to 6, which will be billboards or building wraps around town. At PAM on December 10th, we're doing In Conversation with Erie, and that's where we'll all be in the auditorium. I'll moderate a small panel of artists and the superintendent of the national park and the president of the Audubon Society, and we'll talk about how important it is that the cultural arts can really bridge that gap between the public and the environment through these beautiful artworks. So essentially, look for billboards of Erie artwork for the next 2 years.
So how does one go about trying to apply or get involved in
Sure.
different events like this?
If you go to our website, erie.org, there are all sorts of ways to show how you can get involved. Simply attending an event like PAM, you can go to our website and buy a ticket for the pre-cocktail party, which is a fundraiser, or simply attend the talk, which is free in the auditorium at 7. If you wish to, let's say, apply to the program because you're an artist, you're an author, or a scholar, every year in January, the application process opens up online at erie.org and closes on June 15th. It's pretty competitive, so you might need to apply for a couple of rounds, a couple of years before anything happens, but please do try. Otherwise, if you're just interested in getting involved in an organization like this because you're interested in science or PR or volunteering, again, on our site, you can find different ways by just attending events and getting involved. Sign up for volunteering to help us go hiking with artists in the park, for example. So it seems like no matter what your interest, there's a way to do something.
Now I know we're running out of time. Is there any advice that you have for any aspiring artists?
So, Chanel, I think that nowadays it's important to be well-rounded. So if I were in school at MDC or any of the other local institutions, I would say take a variety of classes that will definitely well-round your interests. It's not great to pigeonhole yourself into one specific area. That could limit your prospects. You want to be able to get out there and talk about your work, volunteer with groups, and of course be able to further develop your interests through workshops and seminars and things like that, in addition to your academic background.
Well, thank you, Deborah, and we look forward to seeing you really soon at the book fair.
Thank you, Chanel. It's been a pleasure.
Well, we just wrapped up everything with Deborah Mitchell, the Executive Director of Erie. Until next time, I'm Chanel White, and remember, the more you read, the more you know.